lovely guest here, Wallstreet Wes, a professional poet, and so much more. Tell me more about yourself because I see you make an impact on the world. And I want to know so much more about you because I feel like we also align in regards to the same mission. What you got going on right now?
You said a lot, I should say. I feel like that um, where we align that is just the healthiness in our spirit. Like when you work really hard to make sure that you're in a good place, you can recognize from somebody else in that same space. And I think that that's what connects us both because we both can feel a sense of healthiness that stems off of each other. Um, like you said, a professional poet, poetry practitioner. Um, it's just my umbrella. It's my sanctuary. It's my church. And it's just the mission that the Most High has me on. Um, Through poetry, I'm able to service the globe. And what I mean by that is when I was in prison, I realized that religion divided everybody. And I studied every religion in the world just trying to get an understanding of where people stand and why they believe in God the way they do. And everybody made sense. Um, so I spent years racking my brain trying to figure out how can I really serve God in a form of fashion where I don't have to deal with division. And poetry is that for me. I could really do God's work. And because it's under the umbrella of poetry, it doesn't distinguish on who I can reach.
hmm When I first encountered you, it was at lounges, and you had a powerful session in regards to your poetry, and that's when I was like, wow, like I felt you. You showed emotion, and although I'm not a black man, I was like, oh, he's making impact through our community. Doesn't matter the race, gender, or whatever the case may be, but I see you do make a big impact in black male mental health because you showed that vulnerability side. It was the pain and the tears, like all of that. Like how do you when you have your sessions in regards to poetry, is this all that you are sharing in regards to your life, or is it just experiences that you're seeing of others? Like where do you get that your inspiration and your story from?
Um, I just really just, share my journey. Over my journey, I've overcome so much, and I've fought some of the most vicious battles. I went to war on so many different levels, whether it was going to war over blocks or going to war psychologically and spiritually or going to war trying to stop, one of my young homies from getting draped in gangs. Um, I've been to war a lot and I've been victorious a lot. Realistically, I could go in my house and never come back outside. I live in a beautiful house, a huge house, more space than I can imagine. And I could really go inside my house and never ever come out again. But the reason why I do is just to simply share my strength.
hmm
You know,
When did you get started into doing poetry?
um, one of my older sister Javier introduced me to poetry at a very young age. I didn't start taking it serious. I went to prison. Um, 2 weeks before I called my 10-year bid, I was in the streets thugging so hard that I had a girlfriend. And one day I was just sitting in front of her house and I had forgot that it was her birthday. I was really only sitting in front of her house because I wanted to change my clothes from the robbery I just committed. So as I'm sitting there realizing I just robbed her house, that it was her birthday in front of her house, I ran to the store real fast. I got a cake, I got some balloons, and I had $5,000 that I had got from just robbing a store. And I looked around my truck, I found a receipt on the floor and I wrote her a quick little poem. And the poem was like something like real cheesy, like I'll run a city race to see your pretty face. Your love is so sweet like mini cakes, so give me taste.
Oh,
It was like something like just
something
cheesy.
slick. Like
Um,
I
so
know it made her smile though, didn't it?
yeah, for sure. So 2 weeks later, I got locked up, and
For that robbery that you bought
well,
the gifts.
yeah, it was a whole nother
Oh.
robbery. I got away with that one, thank to the Most High. Uh, but when I got locked up, she sent me the poem. But she was so amazed that somebody that was like that deep into the streets could think that deeply. And I was just like, shoot, that's just the way I think. I didn't see nothing special in it. But when I seen it made her happy, man, I just started writing poetry in hopes that I'll write a poem good enough to help her, make her do that time with me.
Mm-hmm.
God put it in my heart to let her go. But for 10 years, I never stopped writing her poetry. And I had this vision that I was going to become a better person and come home and treat her better because I was in the streets. So I wasn't treating her the best. You know, she wasn't a priority in my list. And mind you, I was only 20 years old. So relationships wasn't something that was on my mind. I like female interaction, but I don't like care about all the other stuff at that age. And, just that she was my muse. For 10 years, I never started writing her poetry. But the longer I was locked up, those love poems started turning to poems about sadness and alienation.
Mm-hmm.
And just my experience of being in prison. And every prison I went to, I taught men poetry. I taught programs that still exist to this day, that I still go inside, I contribute to, and I bring resources to as well. But that's how I got started with the poetry. It was just
Mm-hmm.
really just a, you know,
But you
uh,
didn't leave it at poetry because you taking your work into other avenues. Because I mean, I see poets, but you're taking it a further step because you are going into correctional facilities and things like that. You're going into different spaces and sharing your story. Did you already make up that your mind to do that when you came out? Like, okay, I'm not gonna just do poetry, but I have to be more diligent in how I go about it, or and you
mm,
just kind of fell into it. Like, hey, someone asked you, like, hey, you feel like talking at such and such, and it just grew from there, or you intentionally chose to do that
um,
as far as spreading your word in regards to the poetry and going into specific spaces, schools, facilities, and so on.
um, I mean, a couple of things happened. You know, like poetry is just something that I was just into myself. I'm not your average poet. I don't sit around reading poetry. Um, I don't even get into the whole poetry scene for real. It was just a gift that was given to me. Nobody never taught me how to do poetry. I just naturally knew how to do it. My first time ever even hearing another poet wasn't until I started teaching poetry classes myself in prison. Um, but then coming home, when I was in prison, the accomplishments that I achieved while incarcerated was unbelievable. Like people just didn't do what I did, and it was all through the grace of God over my life. And the people inside the prison was encouraging me, like, man, you should go home and take that poetry more serious. And I'm just like, man, I'm going to get some money, man. I ain't thinking about no poetry, man.
Mhm.
Like
And
I'm
isn't it
thinking,
crazy how others see your gift before you
yeah,
see your
that's usually
gift?
what happens.
Hmm.
Cause like just like right now, I can see you, but you can't see you right now. You know, so within me coming home, I worked in the music industry.
Hmm.
You know, I developed artists. I did some PR work. Um, when like musicians and celebrities would come to the city, I worked for a lady where it was our job to babysit the celebrities. So they go to the club, I got to babysit them all night. They go to the studio, I got to make sure the studio clean for they get there. And I'm really dealing with all of the people that everybody idolizes, whether it's the Migos or Dave East or, you know, whoever you can name. I'm really sitting down with these guys and I'm really learning for free the music industry. So I'm developing artists. I got artists from here to Maryland. The DC Sniper, his daughter was one of the artists that I marketed for and I managed. Um, but after putting so much energy in the music industry, I mean so much money and energy in the music industry, I wasn't going nowhere. So I had to go back to the drawing boards. When I went back to the drawing boards, I was just like, well, since I can't get nobody to listen to this valuable information that I have, I'll just make me listen to me. And I apply all that information to myself, which was hard because I'm truly an unselfish person. Um, so I put my energy into the poetry. I started listening to all of those men who told me to take the poetry more serious. So I did what everybody else did. I started doing open mics. I started doing shows and I wasn't getting nowhere and I was losing. I was being taken advantage of by plenty of people. And I was just like, you know, how can I really turn this into something that's valuable? Because I see that I really have something because I stopped doing poetry from an entertainment standpoint and I start introducing poetry from an emotional care standpoint. Um, I start telling everybody that I wanted to, you know, put myself in a position to be a therapist. So everybody was like, well, you got to go back to school for that. And I was just like, school can't teach what I know.
Mm.
It just can't, So what I started doing was
Because you have experience also.
yeah,
That's not taught in
yeah,
schools.
like I started signing up to see therapists. But the whole time I'm in your sessions, I'm studying you. And I'm just making notes and I'm asking questions and I'm developing myself into a true therapist. So after years of me doing that and me just learning it, I found myself in a position where one of my therapists gave me an opportunity to lead a poetry group. The poetry group was a group of women who lost their kids
Mm.
through addiction to the courts. And it went so well that they partnered with me. They gave me my own office. They gave me a chauffeur wherever I needed to go. They make sure I'm fed. And I've been leading this group for over a year now. So that gave me the end that I needed because now I have, not only am I just a poet, now I have licensed professionals who gives me the validation that everyone thinks that I need. But from there, I really wanted to help people. That's really my heart. That's why people call me Wallstreet Wes, because I invest in people for a living. Like that's who I am naturally. That's who God created me to be. So because I knew that I really care about helping people, I'm not looking for entertainment. I'm not looking for no validation from nobody. I don't need it because I'm really on the ground doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
So with the way poetry fit into all of that was, um, I figured out how to use the process of writing a poem and to use it to help someone else really take serious their own self-care. So even when I go inside the prisons or I go inside all these facilities, I'm not doing no talking. I'm not doing no motivational speaking. I'm not telling my story. Man, I'm turning the tables around. I'm asking you about your story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's your story? What's on your mind? And I understand the power of just having somebody who got to listen to ear. So even though poetry is my umbrella, I'm just a professional shoulder to lean on.
Mm-hmm.
Any section that I go in, I do so well because I'm not going about it with selfish intentions. Me telling you my story is not important right now. Yeah, I want to let you know that I came from prison so you can feel empowered to know that you could do more with your life. But I ain't here to share my story with you. And most people who reach out to me like, I want to go inside the prison and share my story. And I'll be like, no. I'm like, what resources you got for the men in there? What you got that they can really use to change their lives and really help them out? Whereas me, when I'm going in there, I just want to help you get through the day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in here to try to change your mind or change your life because I fully understand that the biggest misconception in this world is that if a person goes to prison, something is wrong with them. Whereas in prison, you find the most elite people in the world. And not just one type of person go to prison. They think like somebody thugging is all you see in prison. Superintendents. I done ran across bankers. I done ran across teachers. I done ran across every type of person you could ever think of. And prison breeds brilliant people. But people automatically assume that when you go to prison, that something is wrong with you. Like you'd have been traumatized, you'd have been raped in there, you'd have been through the worst. Like, and I'll be here to say, like, no, that ain't the case. That ain't even what's happening. You seen that on TV somewhere, man. Like, hell yeah, that's happening somewhere in the world. But on a larger scale of things, man, you got men in prison really in there having self-care at the forefront of their day. They ain't got nothing in the world to do with self-care. So when we come home, we brilliant psychologically, mentally. So I go into the prisons just to help them get by because I know for a fact that I'm somebody who can understand you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm somebody who is not going to mislead the conversation to think that you need help that you really don't need for real. Like I understand what help you need and what help you don't need, and it ain't what everybody else think. I fully understand that usually when you see a decline in a person's mental health after they come home from prison, it's because of society. It's the stigma on a person that's in prison is the same as racism. Is that strong? People automatically got this wrong idea about a man who's been to prison, whereas, you would have to search far and wide to find somebody better than me. And it's only because I've been to prison. Prison saved my life. It gave me an opportunity to really develop and gain an intellectual understanding of my individuality. So when people say they're the voice of a people, I'm literally the voice of a people. Like when I come out and I come out to the world, like, hey, this is what's on their mind, y'all. This is what they thinking. This is what's going on. Because everybody else is doing what they think they need. But they so misguided within their thoughts that all of your needs, all the things you applying is only going to offend me.
Hmm.
You know.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Honestly, hearing you, I hear that you are a giver
Mm,
and you like to pour into others.
for sure, I love it.
But do you feel as though you have people pouring into you? How do you feel?
Man, I feel amazing. You know, I don't play no sick mind games with
Hmm.
myself. I get fed in so many different type of ways in this world, and that's the only reason why I'm able to show up in this world the way I am, because my cup runneth over so much,
And that's
and I'm
important.
so good, and I don't have an unrealistic expectation for life. My blessings, the goodness that happens in my life is coming all the time in ways that I can least expect. So I'm not putting that expectation on people.
Hmm.
And givers really hurt themselves by being that way. Like,
Hmm.
when I need somebody, ain't nobody there. But ain't nobody, everybody not you. Like,
Hmm.
who you are is a gift to this world. And when you take ownership of that gift, then God gonna make sure that you
Got
feel
all the
valued
tools and
and you
everything that you
everything you
need.
need, you gonna have those things. So man, I'm never that type of person. Like, my cup runneth over. Like, I wake up in the morning, and before I even look at my phone, before I answer emails, I spend an hour of my day just being grateful for how far I've come. I walk around my house, I touch everything. If I ain't got nothing on my schedule, I'll wake up early in the morning and drink a fifth of Hennessy and smoke a pack of weed, just out of celebration to how grateful that I am for everything. I'm grateful for every little thing. Like, nothing in this world is happening around me I don't find satisfaction in. And that's the reason why I'm able to show up so healthy, because I don't take nothing for granted, because I know how I feel not to have nothing.
Hmm.
You know, I don't associate my happiness with material things. I associate my happiness and my well-being based on where I'm at psychologically. And I go out my way to make sure that I'm okay. Like, self-preservation is the number one rule on this earth. And I make sure that Wesley Robinson is okay. And that's the reason why I'm able to make sure everybody else who's in my path is okay as well. Yeah.
So how do you feel like moving in your gift and coming across others and like is there anything in this journey that you feel is like, okay, I want to achieve this, or there's something else that I'm striving towards? Because it appears, and just hearing you, your cup runneth over. Is there anything that you are striving for specific that you haven't obtained yet, or you're trying to reach? Is there any goal specific?
Yes, I could say I'm in a process of creating true help for people who've been to prison. Like, if somebody come off of prison, you can be like, "Oh, are you seeing a therapist?" But your average therapist, like, when I first met my therapist, which I have a really good one right now, I was just like, man, everything about me is not in that DSW-5 book. Like, you got to go to a whole nother frequency to even deal with me, because I'm not in that book at all. So I am on a quest to build true help for people coming home from prison. When you see guys coming home from prison and they stumble, the reality of it is that real help does not exist. I searched high and low for it for myself. I searched all over the world for help. And at one point in time, when I felt myself psychologically crashing, I'm saying it out loud, like, "Hey, everybody, I'm crashing. I'm crashing." I'm calling my social workers. I'm calling my parole officers. I'm telling everybody, like, "Hey, y'all, I'm crashing." And no one heard me out. I was going to
And you
Cleveland.
are even articulated like, hey, and they didn't.
The only answer everyone could give me was they try to give me pills. So what happens then is what happens to every man who come off from prison, we self-medicate. So now I'm smoking like crazy, I'm drinking like crazy, and it's taking a toll on me because I'm running to it for help, but it's really having a harm on me.
Hmm.
Um,
And you're a current like routine weed smoker now. When you say smoke, I'm assuming are you talking just strictly
just blunts,
weed, just
just
blunts?
rapper weed, yeah, stuff like that.
So how often do you smoke? You smoke daily?
Every day. I
And
might.
do you feel like that's what's keeping you, is like, is that your crutch, or like is that why do you smoke every day? Is it
mm,
habit? Like what is it that's
At this
making?
point, it's a habit. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I regulated it to the point where, like, say for instance, like, before I handle my business, I'm not gonna smoke because I know it's gonna slow me down. But it
Mm-hmm.
took me a long time to realize that it was slowing me down.
Mm-hmm.
So like now, after a long day, man, I'm gonna sit back and blaze some weed out of celebration, out of habit, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But I'm gonna dress it up as celebration because it makes sense in my mind. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm really doing. But it's a bad habit. You know, it's working against me, and I need everything in my world right now to be working in my favor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the
I,
only
really, the reason
thing.
why I bring that up is because, well, we smoke together. I like weed too, but I know for myself of being a routine weed smoker that, especially within like our culture, it's I don't think people talk about the importance of responsible use in regards to weed smoking. And I say that I don't bring reason why I bring that up because you said that you self medicate, and I have too, and I've used weed as my self medication. And I feel as though this is not something many people talk about as far as taking time away, even recognizing that you're smoking probably 3, 4 blunts a day. That might be more than what you typically do. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
that might be excessive. Like I went from smoking a lot to now I make sure if I'm smoking more than you know a joint or two a day, then I know I'm doing too much.
Right.
That's just saying for me, and
Right.
everyone's use is different.
Yeah, for sure.
But have you ever taken time? What's the longest you've taken time away from weed? Not saying that you got a problem or anything. I'm just curious.
Right. I haven't taken no time, like
Mm-hmm.
intentionally. I've got better with them regulating it. Like whereas normally I might smoke an eighth a day.
An eighth?
Yeah, for sure. Like easy.
Wes,
Like
an eighth a day.
because like one thing that I know about weed smokers, like when I see people who smoke weed a lot, what I with everything I take it back down to the root.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see somebody who smoke a lot, it's somebody who think a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you see somebody smoke a blunts after blunts after blunts, your average person will be like, man, how high can you get? But it's beyond that at that point. Like usually people where your mind is just constantly racing and you constantly thinking, like you smoking, it just aids that process. Like your mind is burning so hard that the weed just kind of help you slow down within that. But even your mind still is like having your car in park and you mashing the gas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I don't. When I see somebody who smoke a lot, I can identify like, oh, they mind working overtime, and that's what's really happening with
Mm-hmm.
that person.
So do you feel like that's the same with you?
Yeah, for sure. Like
Mm-hmm.
my mind, like I've gotten to a point where I gotta smoke weed just go to sleep
Mm-hmm.
because I never go to sleep. Like my mind is always. I always tell people when you are living in your purpose, you ain't gotta chase your dreams because it's gonna pull you.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's pulling me up out of my sleep. Middle of the night, I'm up in my office, in my robe, smoking blunts, doing research because something hit me in the middle of the night and I can't overlook it. Like I'm too here for a reason to overlook it. And I let my mother know, like I wouldn't be doing that type of stuff if I just wasn't that type of person. If I wasn't built to do it, if I wasn't built to be up for 3, 4 days, I wouldn't be doing it.
Whew.
You know, but I can do it because that's how God created me to be. You know, like it's a part of my makeup and I embrace that. Like most people who call themselves, you know, a hustler love that attribute about themselves that they can really put in that type of work,
Mm-hmm.
whereas most people just can't.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like you can get addicted to anything out of just habit.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have our vices and things like that. And if it wasn't weed, it was sex for me. If it wasn't sex, it was it it was food. Like there was
Yeah,
different things that I was using.
addictive personality.
Yeah, I have an
I'm the same
addictive
way,
personality.
and I want it all when I get it. Like
And right, I obsess
if I'm
over
making
it
love, I'm gonna make love all night
all
long. If I
day.
eat, I'm gonna eat a lot. Like
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
for
Like
sure.
I have an addictive personality. If it's something I like, I'm gonna eat the same. I'm gonna eat that meal for 3 weeks straight. If I listen to a song I'm gonna listen to that
Six
song.
months.
Yeah, constantly. I
What's a
know this.
song that had you on the hook like that recently?
Oh boy. Just recently, I would have to say there's this song called Unpredictable, and I think it's Dan featuring Kiana Le- Kiana Lady. I don't know how to say her last name, but I was listening to that constantly, like, and then I come across another song that I like, and I'll listen to that
Yeah, I'm the same
constantly.
way.
Like I'm just obsessive.
Because that song is like it's like it's feeding wherever you at spiritually at that moment. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can't but it's giving you a feeling that can't nothing else give you that feeling for real.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna hold on to it till it wear out.
Yep. And wear the fuck out of it.
Yeah, me too, for sure.
That's how addictive I am. Even with people, I can obsess over people.
Mm.
I can like I'm obsessed with my daughter, which is my baby, so that's good. But love in general, like I said, weed, sex, food, music, like those were my things. I'm trying to make sure I have a healthy balance. But at the same time, I don't know how you feel about it. I feel like it's not always I search for balance, but balance isn't always going to be there.
Yeah.
So I
No.
don't always feel so bad about obsessing over certain
Yeah,
things.
you ain't gotta be. It's a good side and a bad side to everything. Like, like you ain't hurt nobody.
Right. If I'm not hurting anybody, then
For
hey,
sure. So you gotta give yourself room to be human sometimes.
yeah, true.
You
You're
know.
right. And I mean, we are our own worst critic, and I could definitely be that way with
Yeah.
myself sometimes, but
I mean, that's good because you holding yourself accountable. But overall, you it's okay to give yourself freedom.
hmm how do you feel in regards to love?
What we talking about?
Just in general, whether well, I know you love yourself,
Yeah, for
but how
sure.
do you receive love? Like, how do you allow yourself to receive love?
Oh yeah, for sure. I love love. I feel like there's nothing in this world more powerful than love.
hmm
Um, I know the difference between real love and fake love.
hmm
So, because of who I am and my stance on life, I get a lot of fake love. But it's just like, I am surrounded with real love, so I can identify immediately whether it's authentic or not, whether it's real or not. So, if I'm in a situation where someone feels like I'm just not able to receive love, it's because I can see straight through you, and you're not somebody I want to be in love with. On any level. I don't care who you are. Like, I don't care what your title is. I just don't let everyone give me love because I can recognize and identify when it's pseudo love.
And when
You
when
know,
it's genuine.
like if I see that you don't love yourself, I know that I have nothing coming. You can't
Yep.
convince me that you love me if I'm seeing with my own two eyes that you're not caring for yourself.
hmm
One of my major questions I ask people were like, you take time out for yourself? Yeah, but man, I'll be busy. So I'll be like, dang, you don't take time out for yourself. You tripping. Like in my mind, I'm like, you tripping. Like, like even if I'm dealing with a female, um, I don't do well in relationships if a female isn't balancing those areas. Like if you are not together psychologically, we're not gonna work at all because I'm too healed, I'm too positive, I'm too optimistic about life. And the second that I can see that a woman doesn't carry those attributes, I automatically know that you and
hmm
I cannot get along. Like,
It's not gonna align.
and I'm very good at controlling my lower nature. Whereas like I'm not led like at this stage of my life.
Not led sexually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I need so much
You have
more.
discipline.
Yeah, I need so much more to keep my attention because even after the sex, I'm gonna be looking for a good conversation. And if you ain't never got none in your mind, it's gonna turn me off. Like I can't even get aroused by you when I don't see that you have anything of substance about yourself. Like I don't want to even connect myself with anybody like that because the times that I have, it only tore me down.
hmm
It only brought me out of my element and lessened my value. And I believe that, a woman should increase my power, increase my value, especially
Yeah. That's exactly how I feel. Sorry to cut you off, but that's how I feel like with me being a woman, I feel like my duty is to when it comes to a man is to amplify. So I can't amplify that's not there. You know what I mean? So if there's nothing there, how can I amplify it? You know what I mean? And like you're saying, if you don't love yourself or you don't have the base foundation, what can I amplify? So it goes both ways.
man, my feelings of love is so strong. I got so much love in my heart that I don't look for love. I
hmm
just show up looking to be love. I just want to be love. I don't need nobody. Like when people love me, it's a plus, and I'm grateful for it. But I'm never in search of love because I'm just looking to give it, and that's my mission on this earth for real. So I don't. That's not something that I'm looking to bargain with. In business, I like to bargain, but in real life, man, whether you give it to me back or not, I just want you to know that good people still exist.
hmm
God exists, and the world ain't what you think. The world bigger than you think.
Yep.
Everybody out here is not looking to get over. Everybody not out here looking to mislead or take advantage. What happens is everybody on their own journey. So that's law. Every human being is on their own journey. So when we're not connected, it's only because we just on different paths, you know. And I just understand my journey. You know, I'm not thinking about nobody else's journey. I'm not worried about nobody else's journey. I'm just trying to live mine because there's so much within itself. But overall, I'm a private company. Um, and my main focus is just to be effective in the areas that I can add value to, you know, which is people who've been to prison. And I just try to help navigate them through their experiences and try to just be the psychological support that I wish that I had in those situations for real. You know, even when I come in there to the prisons, I've had too many situations where I sat there and pastors came into the prison and they gave this long speech, and at the end of the day, nobody in the room was moved, you know, and everybody coming to prison thinking like, well, I'm gonna tell my story. I want to inspire these guys. Whereas the reality of it is man, that ain't what they looking for. You know, people in prison a lot of people in prison are pretty self-motivated. We spend our days tapping into God in ways that you can't imagine. So it's just like somebody in prison, what they would really like to get from somebody is a sense of purpose. You know, when I go inside the prison, I might take my taxes in there. But hey, y'all, they used to talk about I got to file some taxes for my company, and it makes them feel valuable because they really a part of something real. They really doing something and being valuable out in the world, and that's all your average person in prison want to do is just to show their remorse and to regain their redemption in the eyes of society, especially for people who are able to take accountability for themselves. And that's why I was able to have such a good prison experience because I took accountability for my wrongdoing. I said I did wrong. I could see society ain't feeling me robbing stores or selling drugs. All right, I apologize and I'm gonna make it right because the best form of apology is change behavior. So I did that. I changed my behavior. And now when I go in there, I just really want to give you a sense of purpose again because prison strips you of a sense of purpose. When you go to prison and get a felony conviction on your name, people automatically assume that you're just the worst person in the world. You know, they be like, I'm gonna go in there and help them brothers change their mind. Whereas like your average person on the streets ain't nowhere near on the levels mentally where a person in prison is. You know, if a man has a family and someone breaks into his house, he got daughters in his house, and someone breaks into this house with the intention of raping everybody in the house, killing everybody in this house, and that father stands up and murder that man in cold blood. And for whatever reason, because of the justice system, he go to prison. At what point in time does he need to change his mind? What about him needs to become better as a person? Like, no, he did everything that a man is supposed to do, and any man who don't do that just don't have a heart to. You know, so that's just the message to this world that I really try to get out. That they got the wrong idea about a lot of people in prison. Like that idea of people being crazy and being messed up, that's a very small percentage of people that's in prison. Like, hell yeah, we go through stuff and it'd be hard to go through it. But, you know, for a lot of people, prison bring out the best in you for real. You know, some of the most powerful people in the world I met in prison. You know, I wouldn't be who I am right now if it wasn't for the men that I met in prison. Like they really raised me up like a father should, taught me the foundation of a man and sent me back out into this world. That's the only reason why I am so powerful because I was fathered by men who would never see the light of day. And they taught me everything they know. And I listened and I took heed and I still listen and I still call for advice. I might be going inside of prison just because I really need some advice. Like I'm like, hey y'all, this is my situation. What do y'all think? And then we'd be in a round table and they'd feed me. They'd give me a better perspective than what I could have on my own for real. So it's just like, you know, that's my world. That's where I come from. And I believe that the only reason why I went to prison is so God can use me in that place because you just can't send everybody into the darkness. Whereas me, you can send me into the darkness and I'm going to come out. You know what I mean? I'm going to come out with change. I'm going to come out with revolution. I'm going to come out with what's really needed, you know? So I go to war with everybody in society, letting them know, like, man, y'all got the wrong idea about me. You got the wrong idea about my brothers. And you got the wrong idea about any man who found himself in prison because the reality of it is in America, it's just not hard to go to prison. You know, I'm not taking up for people who really are psychologically messed up as people. I'm not speaking about those people. I'm speaking about the people who go to prison and really stand up and really find the best of themselves. As a man who come from a violent background When I sit across from a therapist and I let her know about my violent background, what's gonna happen is a wall gonna go up. But I don't care who you is, you know. Whereas me, I built my company because you could come talk to me and we could get real results. You know, my company is just based on providing a real help. Like if one of my brothers called me and be like, hey, when this girl has pushed me to the point where I want to kick her butt, you know, then I'm coming. Ooh, don't kick her butt, bro. You going back to jail. Don't do it. But you done really been disrespected to the point where man or female deserve to be violated. You can't disrespect somebody and think it's gonna be okay. And that's how a man gonna feel. Like it's only so much he gonna take. And all a man really want is respect. He don't care about nothing else. Everything else is fine. As long as I'm being respected, I can give you whatever you need. So it's just like I try to like really be there for people. And that's all I'm really doing it. I'm not doing it because of any of the words I could find in business. Like I don't look at it like uh um I'm doing anything special. I'm only doing this because I'm led to and I understand. So when a person come and talk to me, they could be like, man, Wes, man, I kicked my girl butt last night, bro. Man, I feel so bad, but she pushed me. She pushed me. And we can have those realistic conversations. Whereas if I go to a therapist and try to have that conversation, it's gonna create division between me and that therapist, and I can't really be vulnerable. And then on top
Because
of
you're already
that,
being judged.
yeah. Then on top of that, your average man coming home from prison, he don't have nobody to talk to because the things he needs to talk about can very well put him back in prison. So now he's suffering in silence because he's scared to really express himself. Because if he tells somebody what's really going on, man, he going back to jail for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas me, you ain't got to worry about that. Like you ain't going back to jail with me, and you could tell me anything because I done did it all.
Mm-hmm.
I done been in every situation you can imagine, and I never handled the situations well. So I'm telling you, like, look, this is what I did, bro, and I messed up. So I'm telling you that after I did that, this happened. So if you don't want this to happen, bro, man, you need to say just forget it, bro. You know, and I think where a lot of men from prison go wrong at is when they come home, we try to connect with women from our neighborhoods. And the reality of it is that psychologically, the women from our neighborhoods, they not in a good place. You know, so once you dealing with this woman who not in a good place, now you backing up because you really in a healthy space. Now the stigma like, oh, that was all jail talk you did in there. Whereas like, no, I really had great intentions on loving you, marrying you. But now that I'm dealing with you in person, you got so many traumas that I can't fix you. Matter of fact, I don't think no one can fix you for real. So now I can't even really have a healthy relationship with a woman because man, you ain't dealt with your issues. Like, and you was able to hide those issues over the phone. You just really good at a long distance relationship. But now I'm hearing your face, man, everything about you was out of order, psychologically, mentally, the way you raising your kids. So as a man, I ain't even judging you. I'm like, hey, y'all, let's straighten this up. Let's add some structure here. But now you going against me. You fighting against me, whereas I'm just like, hey, I'm just trying to help, you know? And now I'm having to constantly have that void within myself because I can't genuinely connect with a woman because it's so hard to find somebody who is good within themselves. Like I can't connect with somebody who ain't good within themselves because every woman that wasn't, they tore me down. Since I've been home from prison, I've lost everything 20 times. Like 20 times where I built myself up to have penthouses, the most exotic cars, and not just for me, but for you. I done dated women where they done had 5 kids, and I done took y'all out to projects, put y'all in the suburbs, put your kids in the best schools, and I'm doing everything I need to do as a man, but you constantly fighting against me. You constantly making this hard on me, and it shouldn't be that hard, which makes me be like, all right, I'm cool. You know, like even like right now, like, man, I ain't had sex in 2 years just on the strength of like I just got tired of giving myself to women who just can't be in my realm.
You know your worth.
Yeah, like even like the female that I dated when I came home, I'll tell you for 10 years I waited to be with this woman. When I finally came home, she popped up probably like 2 weeks before I got released. I ain't seen her all these years. So I'm happy. I'm excited. Like this all I ever wanted in life. I'm complete. I got her. When I got her home, I sat her down and I like, look, this is what I want to accomplish. This is what I want us to accomplish as a couple. I laid it all out for her. Like, boom, boom, boom. We're going to do this. We'll do that. And when I finished talking to that lady, she said, man, you think you better than me, don't you? I said, how did you get that out of everything I just said? Like, I was talking about us, like how I can enrich us. And that relationship lasted 30 days. You know, and I waited 10 years to be with this woman for it to crash in 30 days. You know, picked up all her and her kids, moved them to Cleveland. She didn't have kids. I've been home. I ain't sweating none of that, sweetheart. They here, they kids. I don't have no kids myself. So we gonna raise some kids together. Put all her kids in private schools. Like, and there was only so much I can do. I'm waking her up in the morning because she had to go sign paperwork to get these kids into private schools. You don't want to get up, you know? And like I said, that relationship only lasted for like 30 days. So it's like, my heart gets so sad as I just look at the state of mind that our women are in. And that's why I revere women like you, because it's like so hard to come across a woman who isn't discombobulated and broken into pieces. Like, you give off like this healthy vibe and this essence about yourself, the epitome of a woman. Whereas as I look at our society, and my heart is just so sad for our women. Like, they are so out of touch with who they truly supposed to be. You know, and I try to let women know that, man, your power is in your gentleness. Man, if you watch Beauty of the Beast, man, it was that white girl's gentleness to turn that beast back into a king. It wasn't you going rah rah. Like, if I'm entertaining a woman, man, the second you snap on me about something, man, we stop right there. Man, I don't give a backstabber a chance to pick up the knife. You feel me? Like, the second you show me some type of aggression or any energy that's not feminine, man, it stopped right here. I never talk to you again. I'm not gonna waste my time with you, because that quality right there is just something I don't deserve. You know, because I'm gonna deal with, the more gentle you are, the more gentle I'm gonna be. You know, I'm gonna feel like a sucker if you being gentle and I'm being rah 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 with you. When you being so gentleman and ultra gentle, man, I'm gonna treat you with the most gentle care. I'm gonna treat you the best I can ever treat someone, because you gentle and you soft. So as a man, man, I gotta respect that. But when you not being that, man, I can't deal with you like that, because you're not even gonna appreciate it. You're gonna take advantage of it. You're not gonna appreciate it. It's like casting your pearls among swine. You know, so that's like an issue that really be on my heart and really be on my mind. And I just be really wishing I can just see our women in a better space. You know, they've been misled, you know, and it goes back farther in life. Like, even back to the Woody Lynch days, that plan was like really set in place. And I'm not big on history, but that's something I believe that really happened. That our people were so brainwashed that it shows up in today's society, like, too
Absolutely.
well, you know?
Absolutely. I agree. I definitely agree.
Yeah,
I just I really hope that the the relationship between the black woman and the black male gets a little bit more mended.
a
And
lot more amended.
yeah, a lot more mended. But honestly, I feel as though it's happening slowly. I really do. I see, at least from the examples and the men that I come across. Don't forget, I'm over here. Don't look. You can't look at the TV.
Right.
You gotta stay.
I had to do a quick swag check real fast. I wanted to make sure I
You
was
gotta
showing
focus.
up. You know what I mean? I want to make sure I was showing up the way I picture myself in my mind. It's,
You silly. But I just feel as though, like, I've came across, like, I hear some women saying, like, oh, there's a lot of men that, men ain't shit. But and I hear men say the same thing. But I truly, me personally, I've came across a lot of really good men like yourself and Ned and other people. Like, I've came across a lot of good men. And you'll end up attracting that energy towards you. And just because they're a good man or a good woman doesn't mean that they're for you. You know
for
what I
sure.
mean?
I always say that as well.
Yeah, because a lot of people assume, like, oh, because, oh, why wouldn't you date him? He's a good man. Well, we might not be compatible,
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know. And I will say, interacting with you and observing you, you have depth in regards to your mind. You appear to be a sapiosexual, like you're attracted to intellect. And me being a fellow person that's similar, uh, you need a certain level of stimulation, you know?
For sure.
And not a lot of people like to go below the surface.
Yeah.
And I feel like even though there's a lot of good people out there, it's hard to come by because that's how our society is. They don't want to talk about things that's below the surface, things that make you uncomfortable.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know what I mean?
And I feel like for real, like being a poet, that's all a poet really is, are deep thinkers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all it really is. Why society may be thinking about steps 1 through 3, but I'm thinking about steps 1 through a million. You know, and I'm taking things back down to the root. You know, and I believe that intellectual aspect of myself, it really stems from being a poet. You know, like I feel like that's essentially that's all a poet is someone who's a deep thinker.
Mm-hmm. Now you said something earlier that I'm not looking to change the world, but I feel like you are. My goal is to change the world, even through the smallest interactions.
Yeah,
It takes only but so much to change the world. This ripple effect, and
yeah,
you're a ripple.
yeah.
So you don't see that, but I see you are.
Yeah. I think that with me it's just not my intent.
That's not your intent.
You know, like
It just comes with it.
I'm coming from such a sincere place that, you know, that's just the aftermath of it. And I know for a fact that I'm changing the world, you know, because I understand that changing the world is just one person at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I change the world is that everybody I make contact with, man, I just do good by you.
Yep.
Man, I don't care what's going on. I don't care what you doing or what you representing. I make sure that everybody that I come in contact with, I intentionally go on my way to be good to you. I'm not going to do nothing. I don't care how much you might harm me or get in my way or even rub me the wrong way. And that's not the energy I want to put out into this world, you know? So I'm just very conscious of the energy I'm putting into this world. I want to make sure that, you know, when it's all said and done, I empty myself on this earth and I really hit my mark, you know, as far as why I was created. You know, I felt like that I come across so many situations where, you know, I was about to die or I was about to be killed or I was about to be murdered and it just didn't happen. So one day I just started sitting in my cell and I was like, man, I think God really got me here for a real reason. If I keep on eluding death and I keep on having these divine interventions, and I just had a realization like, man, I'm here for a real reason. So from that, I don't operate from the standpoint of your average person. Like your average person, like they fantasize about their purpose on this earth and they, you know, they think about what they're trying to obtain on this earth. Whereas me, man, I just be a good person.
Be a good person.
Man, it's just that simple. Like I don't overcomplicate it. I don't put myself on no type of pedestal. I've done so much wrong on this earth that at 38 years old, who I choose to be is just a good person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when people hear about my past, they be like, man, I just can't see you being that type of person. Because the reality of it is that those stories come from a 20-year-old version of myself. So at 38, if I'm the same person I was when I was 20, there's something wrong with that.
Exactly, something
You know?
wrong. There's definitely a side of myself that people wouldn't know and wouldn't believe, but who I am now, and also it's kind of addicting of bettering yourself.
Yeah.
It feels so good and invigorating when you can look back and be like, man, I'm not like how I was before. I'm even better, and that's a really great feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And each year, I want to continue to look back and be like, man, I'm better than where I was and who I was, and it never stops until the day you die. You're constantly looking to be a better person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how, at least that's how I feel.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
It's evolution.
Yeah.
You understand
Wanna
evolution
constantly
as a
evolve.
person.
And it's exciting. It's like,
Yeah.
man, if I could do this and I'm already a dope ass person, just imagine how I'll be by next year. That's how I be sitting there thinking. I get so excited. And people sit there and will assume, like, I've had somebody say something to me. It was like, because I say I truly, like, I really, really love myself. Like, I'm almost borderline obsessed with myself at times.
As you should be.
I heard someone, actually a person in my family said, well, isn't that like a narcissist? And I was like, no, who am I hurting because I love myself? You know, I'm not putting down anybody to make myself appear bigger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't feel like people celebrate themselves enough or talk highly of themselves enough. And that's a beautiful thing.
See, I have a hard time really speaking highly of myself because I always just come off like I'm lying. Like my life is like that extreme. Things happen to me that just don't happen to people. So when I go to express that to people, I just see they be looking like, yeah, all right. Like when I was a kid, like me and my family on Saturday mornings, we would sit around and talk about our night. Like what happened to us last night. And everybody be talking about regular stuff. Like, oh man, the girls, we went out to a football game, we was cheerleading, and I'd be like, man, I was walking down the street, I got abducted by aliens. They took me back to their country. Come to find out, they had a statue of me. Now come to find out, I'm the ruler of a whole nation. They like, but it really happened last night. You know what I mean? Like I really did happen. Like I really did find out that I was one of the most powerful things ever. You know what I mean? I
That's
really did hit that
amazing.
realization. Like I'm not just saying it from a narcissistic standpoint. Like I really like, boom. Like the other day, I went into the prison, and I'm moving and shaking through Ohio prisons all the time. I went to a prison the other day, and ironically, everybody who showed up to this event that I came to in prison, it was probably about 200 men there. Majority of the crowd, when I say the majority of the crowd, like 9 people out of 10, was people who somewhere in my prison journey sat me down and asked me to take my poetry life more serious. Out of all of my journeys of being in prison, man, I had all those dudes in one room,
Wow.
and they got a chance to see me sit on the toilet in a cell, evolve into like now, like boom, like I'm bigger than life in their
Hmm.
eyes, and it was like an emotional moment, like whereas like I really was like the biggest thing ever in that room last night, and I don't publicize it, I don't share it, I don't even brag on it, but in that moment, I really got a chance to see like myself in
How
the future.
magnificent you are.
Yeah, like even like the day that I got released from prison, like over the years, I'm just doing me. I have ideas, I follow them. I have a healthy enough self-esteem to take healthy risk. And the day that I went home from prison, the day before that, they did a poetry show. So I'm just showing up. I'm ready to go home. I ain't even thinking about this stuff no more. So I'm just showing up thinking about it be a regular poetry show because I did poetry shows every 3 months in prison. What I didn't know was the whole prison showed up in one space just to let me know how I changed their life in some form or fashion.
Oh,
Like I cried for
oh,
like
I
two
would have
hours
cried.
straight. Whereas like the whole prison, like people got up one person at a time and told stories on how I affected their life in a major way or how I changed their life forever. Like, like certified gangsters, like, man, you made me feel cool with expressing myself and really saying how I feel instead of bottling it up. And I experience things like that on a regular basis. And because I do, it's the reason why I move with such confidence and so much brilliance because the world is constantly assuring me.
Mm, that gotta be beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. It's an
Like
amazing
just
feeling.
even envisioning like a person after person just sharing how you touch them. That's deep.
Yeah, for sure. But the reality of it is I am really a good friend. I go out my way to be a good friend. When I connect with somebody, man, I'm really connecting with you. You
Hmm.
know, like this, my brother right here, man, him have been through everything together. Like, and that's my dog. And we get along so well because we understand each other. And it's really hard to come across somebody who really understands you. Like whereas our connection is like we really get each other, whether we fall hard, we right there with each other, picking each other up. Like, bro, I felt the same way last year, bro. Go on, get up. You know what I mean? Dust your shoes off, bro. You got a little something right here, but we gonna be all right, So it's just like I built relationships like that because I just feel like it's the right thing to do
Hmm.
good by people, and to really give people a space to not feel like this whole world is just a bad place for real. It's just not. And the world is bigger than you think, and I really try to go out my way. Like I go out my way to be good to people. Like you don't have no reason to feel any type of way when I'm around. If I'm the type of man where if you bring your girl around me, I'm not looking at her butt when she walking past. I ain't like checking her out on the low
You
key
have respect.
side. Like even in privacy, I'm gonna respect you. I'm gonna honor
Hmm.
you. And I ain't got to talk about it. But I go out my way to be a good friend and a good person to people for real, even when sometimes people don't deserve it.
Hmm.
Like me being good to you is just not chewing your head off or not kicking your butt. But that's a principle that I stand on. I can't control nobody else but myself, and I'm gonna make sure I'm showing up in this world in a way that's righteous. I think one of the main points that I want to hit that I didn't get a chance to hit on is I'm trying to spread awareness about a silent auction that I'm doing.
A silent auction.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm building it out. Um, I've in my business is called Great Minds Think Different. Um, it's a social enterprise, meaning that I do the work of nonprofit, but the structure of my business is set up for profit. And that gives me the authority to do good business because in a nonprofit world, they play a lot of games. So when I'm like, hey, I just gave you a service, I need that money, bro. Like I shouldn't have to be chasing you around for 30 days if I already gave you my part. So the structure of my business allows me to talk like that. But right now, I went inside prisons, I went inside elementary schools. I teach I facilitate women who have lost their kids to addiction, and I've created this collection of poems. So naturally, everybody's mindset is like, oh, you should write a book. But I'm very big on game changing. I'm very big on being innovative. If I'm gonna do anything, it has to be innovative. I'm never gonna follow somebody else's trend. I'm a study what everybody else is doing and do the opposite. So within me brainstorming on how can I really bring more revenue to my company and the work that I'm doing, I decided to take these poems. They're on 20 by 30 sheets of paper. I'm gonna frame them and I'm gonna do a silent auction with them. Within this auction, I'm looking to raise $1 million. I'm very confident that I can. But the people are not paying for the poems. You are paying for the problems that I'm solving in this world. Um, I'm only looking to attract corporations who have major government funding for changing the community through art. And if y'all got government funding and I'm actually doing that, in my mind, it's an easy relationship. Um, I'm looking for fundraiser directors, people who can like just really will in those corporations who are looking to give their money to, causes like the one I have. Um, I'm building that out now. I could really use some help. It's hard to find the help based on the fact that one of the issues I always come across is when I bring people in, I don't need ideas. I just really need muscle. So people gonna come in, like, oh, we should do this and we should do that. And once I tell them like, no,
Can we get the job
that's
done?
not what we about
That's
to
a
do. I'm telling you what we about to do. And all I need to find out from you is, can you get this done? And I think a lot of times in my work, most people just don't have the self-esteem to do the stuff that I do. If I tell somebody like, I'm gonna raise $1 million, in their mind, they can't imagine nothing like that. But in my mind, I done got a lot of money in this lifetime. I know for a fact that I can see $1 million. And all I want to do is just take the money and put it back into the areas that really matter the most. I'm not looking to fatten my own pockets. I live in a house right now. I got 5 bathrooms in my house. I got a personal chef. I realized that I just wash clothes for the first time in like 3 years today, just because I'm just trying to, challenge myself to be more active. So I'm living a very healthy life. It's not a money grab. It's just the fact that I know for a fact that I'm doing outstanding work into these communities. And while these corporations are in board meetings and they trying to figure out how to change the world, I'm really in the neighborhood with the T-shirt over the gunshot wound. I'm really helping old ladies across the street. I'm really like getting all the kids together in my neighborhood and giving them summer jobs. So I just want to make sure that I put that out there, that I really could use some help within attracting the right type of generous people for this thing. And I just know I'm doing a good thing, and um, I know that I'm doing the right thing because it wouldn't be in my heart, because I'm not
mm-hmm.
the type of person, like, I fund everything out of my own pockets. When I go inside the prisons, everything I do in the communities, man, I just fund it out of my own pocket. I don't ask no questions, but that gives me the ability to stay in control. Like the second you get to like dealing with other people and their money, they want to have a sense of control.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm doing is like the old saying, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like what I'm doing is exceptional, is outstanding, is groundbreaking work because it's from the heart. And I'm really seeing the results. I'm really seeing people's lives change. And I'm holding these corporations accountable. I'm holding you accountable. You got organizations who be like, we're here to help people come home from prison. And I've been home from prison. I go through a million meetings with y'all, a million sit downs, and I never come out with the help I'm looking for. I could go in there and be like, man, I could really use a blue shirt. I got some blue jeans and these blue shoes. They're like, have you ever considered a red shirt? So I came here, I'm very clear on what I need. I need a blue shirt. Let's think about it. Red is passion. You should really, so now it's a stalemate because now you just spent all our time really trying to convince me to get a red shirt when I just told you it's
Exactly
clear as
what I
day I
want.
could really use a blue shirt and I got half of the fit already put together. That's the only thing I'm missing. And that's what I come across constantly in business. People want me to conform to them, but I'm the
Mm-hmm.
tea bag and you the water. I don't
Mm-hmm.
conform to you, you don't conform to me for real. Nipsey Hussle said that a reasonable man will conform to the world, but an unreasonable man is going to make the world conform to him. And the future of our people is really relied on the unreasonable man,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not afraid to, hold people accountable in high places. I know guys who get paid millions of dollars because they consider the OG, but they really can't come to the hood and have no type of authority on them young heartless felon boys. They can't, them heartless felons ain't about to listen to them, but they getting paid millions. And they
Mm-hmm.
living up in big houses and eating high off the hog, and they not doing nothing in the community with that money. Whereas me, I'm at the gas station, all the little young dudes out there pumping gas. I'm buying y'all chicken. I'm teaching y'all etiquette. Like, hey, don't just run to nobody's car. Do it like this. Turn what you're doing into a business. And now they eating for real. So, my fundraisers, the Great Minds Think Different silent auction. I need help. I could really use some genuine help. Um, and that's what's really on the forefront of my plate right now. That's what I'm really pushing for. And I just really believe that I can get it done. I'm also been working for like 2 years and I just can't get this thing off the ground for some reason. I'm organizing a citywide high school poetry slam, whereas I'm going to employ poets full time. I'm gonna send a poet to every school in Cleveland. You coach up a team of 5 with 3 alternatives for 12 weeks. For 12 weeks, you're going to coach up these kids on how to slam. But realistically, what we're really doing through poetry is just servicing these kids' emotions for these 12 weeks because kids go through a lot and
Mm-hmm.
they talk so much that we be like, whatever, you talking too much, we tuning them out. Whereas this program give them a healthy chance to really express themselves out loud. And after 12 weeks, every school gonna come together in Cleveland and slam. Whatever school wins, the school is gonna get a trophy. Every kid is gonna win $500, and the most valuable kid is gonna win $1,000. And I'm also working on scholarships as well.
Mm-hmm.
But even with that, I just having a hard time just getting into the schools. I spend hours on hours in my office calling high schools, emailing, and I'm just not getting nowhere. No one responds. Um,
I might be able.
and the crazy part is I'm telling everybody, like, if somebody take on this job in my company, I'm gonna pay you $1,000 for every school you get to commit. For every school you get to commit to this program, I'm gonna pay you $1,000
Mm-hmm.
for every school. It's 31 schools in Cleveland. And I'm gonna happily pay you, but it's just like, and I believe it's God's plan, but that's another project that's really dear to my heart, and I feel like this community could really use.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm
Yeah,
sure it'll happen. You sure it was gonna happen
yeah,
anyway?
for
So
sure, for sure.
whatever I can do.